We've got Professor Murad Chowdhury, who's Treasurer at RBS Corporate Banking, joining us on the phone line from London. Murad, to begin with, there are certain views being put out by a number of analysts who believe that Europe is going to see something like a 10% correction in the equity markets. Would you go with that?
I'm not necessarily as pessimistic as that, but it's always difficult to call equity forecasting, the equity index forecasting. I mean, I certainly would. I think the southern Eurozone is going to drag the entire EU down with it, and 2012 is still going to be volatile. The euro issues, the Eurozone issues, structural issues remain with us, and I do think that would mean that equity markets shouldn't be in positive territory for this year. Large parts of the Eurozone are still in recession and don't look like to be coming out of it until the second half of the year at best. So I certainly wouldn't be pessimistic about it, but I don't necessarily think I'd call it 10% correction, though.
Adding to that pessimism, Murad, were the comments made by Christine Lagarde of the IMF saying that the global economy is starting to look up, but the financial stress in Europe still threatens a full recovery. How concerned would you be on the back of these statements?
Absolutely, I don't disagree with. It's not often, I must admit, it's not often I find myself agreeing 100% with the economic analysis that comes out of the IMF, or indeed the OECD for that matter. But I must admit I agree with that sentiment. For example, until we had that disappointing US jobs number last week, the US was leading the recovery. It did look like they were creating jobs. There was 200,000 odd non-farms every month. It was a good optimistic place to be in. Now, hopefully, last week's number in the US was just a blip. We'll have to wait and see on that. The comments yesterday from the Fed member, Ms. Yellen, did suggest that maybe it wouldn't be. But with respect to Ms. Lagarde's comments, yes, certainly Eurozone problems, are going to be a drag on growth for the global economy, absolutely. And, they've bought some time with the euro, but the structural problems still remain. Unless taxpayers in the Eurozone can accept that there will have to be fiscal transfers from north to south for some time, starting with Greece, we're going to be right back in volatile, stressed, negative sentiment territory again. So the Eurozone problems remain with us, and the structural issues, the unemployment problems, the real estate problems in the southern Eurozone remain with us, and will act as a drag on growth for the global economy. The Eurozone is a large part of the world economy, and we can't discount its negative performance.
Okay, Murad, we'll leave it at that. Thanks very much for joining in with that perspective on the European region. A tepid start for the European markets on expected lines given those dismal GDP numbers that came in from China at 8.1%.